On Wednesday, August 22nd, it's episode 271 of the 359 podcast. I'll be your producer today, BBG. And in the house, we've got Roger
you're
Cheng
so much more, Brian.
and
Come
Alfred
on.
Ing.
You're more than just a
I'm the
producer.
heart and
Cut yourself
soul
off
of
there.
this
What were
show.
you going to say earlier?
I was going to say host, and I'm like, wait, that's not right at all.
Kind of. You're the host, you're the MC, producer, and the heart of the show.
That's why we're saying you're so much more.
Just because I have to be here every day.
Well,
Yes.
I left that little detail out.
Guys, what's on the docket for today's show?
Two biggies. We're going to be talking about Android Oreo, which Alfred got to go and check out here at the event in New York.
They gave me these cookies that I never ate.
Yeah, I mean, they're at this point, do you just keep them?
Actually, this is how you get the update.
Oh, right. When you eat them, like they automatically download on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be talking about that as well as tomorrow's big Samsung Galaxy Note event. We'll talk a little bit about what we want to see. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best, and we will get to them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
And here we go for the recording in 3, 2.
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Ing.
It's a big week for tech. Yesterday, Google finally confirmed the name for Android Oreo, which we all kind of figured it was anyway. Alfred, you were there at the big Eclipse-themed event here in New York. What was it like?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, there weren't that many details as far as like technically on the Android Oreo because we kind of had already seen most of it at Google I/O. This was more of like a celebration for them where they timed it around the Eclipse. They put it right across the street from the original Nabisco factory where they invented the Oreo.
So that's why they did it here, because they always do it in Mountain View. So
Yeah.
this is the first time they've unveiled one of their statues outside of their headquarters.
It got to a point when I arrived, it was fairly obvious that it was Oreo.
Okay.
I mean, even when we got the invite that it's going to be timed around the Eclipse, and what looks like an Eclipse and Oreo.
Right.
But there still were some doubts. And then the moment I walked into the event and they had the statue covered, but it was in like a circle shape. And I'm like, that's an Oreo. Like
Right.
you're not fooling anybody with this.
And so when is, as a reminder, when is this available for download to Pixel and Nexus phones?
It should be available within the next few weeks or so. There's no specific date yet from them, and I had been badgering them about it, like when can I get this on like a Pixel device? Because I think our viewers and readers want to know like when they can get it. But I do know that the Pixel devices will probably be the first ones to get them. They said they're working with OEMs and major producers to basically get it out on their devices either when they release.
Right.
Or, at least before the end of 2017.
Yeah, I have to wonder for, phones, whether it's Samsung, LG, like how quickly they're going to get to Android O, especially ones sold through carriers like Verizon.
And I didn't
AT&T.
get to try out a lot of Oreo's like main big features because a lot of it is like AI based.
Right.
So, you have to spend a lot of time with it for it to really show like how powerful it is or anything like that. But all I can say is like, as far as like speed goes, which was a major like point for them on this, is that it does seem a lot faster than the phone that I'm using currently.
Wasn't battery life one of the other big points?
Yeah, but that's the other thing.
You can't test that,
well,
right.
it's not like I was going to hold on to it for like the whole day.
All right, next up, we're hoping that the Galaxy Note 8 will eventually get Oreo. It will get its big unveil tomorrow. Also here in New York, comes obviously after a year after the whole Note 7 debacle. Alfred, what are you hoping to see from this phone from Samsung?
I mean, other than the whole battery issue like you were talking about, I don't want to beat a dead horse there, but I'm going to go and beat another dead horse.
Do it.
Please have a headphone jack on this. It's interesting to see, what phones are going, like we're going to get rid of the headphone jack for good now, and what phones are, we know our users still really want this and still value this.
Right.
I really hope that, the headphone jack wins out on this one.
GS8 doesn't have a headphone jack, right? So that does not bode well for the Note 8.
Yeah, but,
We'll see.
maybe this is supposed to be like a better phone than the GSA. That's what I thought it was.
That's true. It's a bigger phone.
And also just the whole like full screen, like being able to unlock it without having a physical button on the front. That's something everyone's been pushing for.
Right.
Hopefully we'll see it by the Note 8.
You mean in terms of like the embedded fingerprint
Yeah,
sensor?
pretty much.
Yeah, right now I think the rumors point to it having
Like a bezel?
in the back. No, sort of in the back.
Oh, God.
Just like the GSA.
Yeah, if that's true, then they should have it in a better placement, because I know there were a lot of complaints about the GS8 where it was like really awkward where you
That
smudge your camera.
GS8 was kind of annoying, right? Like, yeah, it was kind of smudgy all the time. All right, that's all the time we have for these stories and more. Check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Ing.
Thanks for listening.
So why are you not going to eat your delicious Oreos?
I feel like
Oreos.
they're like Twinkies.
Show them to the crowd.
I actually had
Right
one
there.
yesterday. They gave us
let's do this.
they had them on top of ice cream. So
Look at those cookies, delicious. There's
If
an
you look-
Android
yeah.
symbol on the right one. They both have the Android symbol. I'm assuming.
yep,
That's
Uh,
stage right.
Right?
Well, one is just Oreo, but it might be flipped.
Yeah, it might be
So-
flipped. And it's got green filling. What's the green filling?
Probably mint
Oh, nice.
or Android.
It's the flavor of
Telling you,
Android.
man. Yeah.
It's the flavor of ones and zeros. I don't know what that would taste like.
So give us a more personal takeaway. What did you enjoy? How fun was the eclipse in that
Oh
audience?
no, it was
Yeah.
super fun. Yeah, I had been making fun of the eclipse this whole time, but
Why would you make fun of the eclipse?
Because people are making this whole big to do about it, especially in New York City, when
It
you can't
is-
even like
well,
see the
that's
whole
true. The,
like
the
shebang.
path of totality is nowhere near New York.
And
yeah.
it was like cloudy for a bit of it, but I mean, seeing it from there was really cool. I mean, the whole unveiling of it was, and then they had like this like ice cream bar there that had like a bunch of Oreos on it. That was the other giveaway too. It was like fairly obvious that this was gonna be Oreo.
Oh, were you able to see the ice cream sandwiches ahead of time? or-
I mean, like I like they didn't have them out, but like
You can
me
sort of
being
tell.
a decent reporter, kind of looked
Right,
around,
right.
and I saw it, and I'm like, oh,
I mean, at that point, but when they kind of leaked it out and that file name over the weekend, like, that's kind of
well, they also had a bunch of other dummy file names in there too. They had like
Oh, they did?
Android underscore like Orangina, whatever.
Oh,
or,
they
like,
did?
oatmeal
Okay,
cookie
okay.
and all this stuff. So that was like
I feel
another
like
kind of troll move that they tried doing.
Everyone kind of assumed it was going to be Oreo,
It was
And it
fairly
was.
obvious.
and it's the right name, frankly.
Yeah, I mean,
Oreo just feels right.
I didn't see it coming originally when they had said Android Oreo. I thought Oreo, but then I was thinking that's a brand name. But
Right.
they had done
But
it
they had
before
done
with
brand
Kit
names.
Kat.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
And I talked to some of like the Oreo like reps that were there, and they are doing some kind of partnership with them. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they are partnering with Nabisco on this the same way they did with Kit Kat.
If you buy 1,000 Oreo boxes, they'll give you a free phone.
They'll give you the update.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Or no, like there'll be codes for
Mm-hmm.
the update inside Oreo boxes. You type it in, it'll bypass your carrier's phone. No,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the only thing that I was a little bit disappointed about is not knowing like what like the exact date when.
Yeah,
we'll
it's
be
a
able to
little
get this.
frustrating that they didn't actually offer a date up for.
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
downloads.
I feel like that's not something that they can control though, because it is like up to the OEMs at the end of the day, right? To
well, no,
push
not,
out the
not
updates?
for Pixel.
yeah,
Right? They can control Pixel and Nexus phone updates.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. OEMs have a little bit tougher time, and it's even tougher when you incorporate Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, because they have to approve that stuff
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah, but in terms of like their own phones, they can totally
yeah.
have those updates
because
ready.
the annoying thing is, you know, at the event it was this whole big to do, and it's basically like here's all these like cool things you'll be able to see, except we don't know when exactly you're gonna be able to get it.
Right,
and it's
right.
just frustrating. And it's also like
Thanks
the
for the tease,
majority,
man.
also the majority of our users, even though we're the most used like, you know, operating system on the planet, also aren't even gonna get this. So
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so props to everyone in the chat submitting your questions and comments.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for that. We're going to hit those right now. On a glance, there's a pretty fair balance of those who are excited of the Samsung phone versus the Android operating system. However, and I could easily be proven wrong on this, at a educated guess, glancing as I'm skimming through hundreds of comments, thank you again, by the way, it looks like a few more people are kind of excited about the operating system.
Oreo.
We've got a few questions.
I feel like that
I mean,
makes
yeah, the
sense, right?
operating system
'Cause
is
it's-
hella cool.
It can be applied to more phones than just
Exactly.
the
So
right?
let's answer some questions
do it.
around that.
Let's do it.
Dab wants to know if the LG G5 is going to get Oreo, and a number of people are asking, is the Galaxy Note 8 going to ship with it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's still to be determined. We'll find out more details tomorrow. It will be a little tough, I think, because they
just
They
announced
just
it.
announced it, so it's hard for me to see Samsung immediately come out with it, but who knows?
Yeah, Android did say that they were working with major manufacturers, and you can bet that Samsung's one of them to
Yes.
get their phones shipped out with it. They did mention on a list of brands that were that they were working with to get it shipped out with it. Samsung was one of them.
Yep.
Essential is going to be one of them, so Andy Rubin's phone won't be
Nice.
outdated
Right,
you know,
right.
already.
What about LG too? Our previous
Yes,
question?
LG's on that list
I
too.
imagine the G5 will get it. I just
Yeah.
don't know if it'll come in a timely manner.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see Kyocera on that list because they're not like a major player, but at the same
I mean, they're
They're
definitely
eligible
They're
for it.
definitely known for making more budget phones.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm hopeful that this is a sign that Oreo will make its way to more devices.
And then, was this just a list of OEMs that were committing to using it or were committing to actually updating their existing phones.
No, this was a list of OEMs that Android said they were going to be working with to.
Just in general.
Yeah.
So that could mean like
doesn't
with
mean
new
specific phones.
Right.
Yeah.
That could mean new phones. Right. Yeah.
All right, so Jiffer brings up a good point in the chat. He says the Note will have a headphone jack because it holds a stylus, so room is not an issue.
That's true.
Now,
But
do you
then
think
again-
that's enough of a basis of a foundation for them to make that decision?
Well,
What
yes
if
and no, because I know that the idea of like using a USB-C port is thinner, so it allows the phone to be thinner. But because the Note has a stylus, it has to be a little bit thicker. Part of the problem with that argument is the stylus is this one thing here, and it's sort of like along the side of the phone, whereas the center of the phone is where the headphone jack usually is. So there's a bunch of components there, so I don't know if they can actually squeeze all of that in. And remember, the Note 7 squeezed in just a ton of stuff, components, chips, batteries, everything, into a pretty thin phone. And I can't imagine that Samsung would want to make the same mistake.
The Essential phone doesn't have headphone jack either, right?
No.
Should
Man.
we have concern about the stylus being located right next to the headphone jack so you accidentally miss and get the wrong hole, per
That's
se?
assuming that
If
there
they
is
do
a
that,
headphone
but
jack.
that's-
It's
yeah,
the wrong
that's-
hole.
I'm not gonna respond
No?
to that.
Nothing?
Nothing. You got
I
Alfred?
nothing?
don't get it.
Really going to leave me hanging on that one?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
There's
you guys
only
are
one
jerks.
hole.
Fine. I can't pronounce his name, and I'm sorry for this, but it says, Apple guys, how do you feel about the Galaxy Note 8 and the fact that Touch ID is gone? Pontificate.
calling
on
us
it if
Apple
you want.
guys?
Why are we Apple guys?
I don't know.
I've
Maybe
got a-
he's
I've got a
calling to the
Pixel and an
commentary.
iPhone.
Maybe he's calling out other commenters as Apple guys. Like
That's
he's asking. other
entirely
people in the
possible.
chat.
Either way, let's get your response
Sorry,
to this.
the question's on Touch ID.
How do you feel about the MIA Touch ID?
Well, we don't know yet if Touch ID is completely gone, right? That's still to be determined.
This is for the iPhone.
This is for the iPhone. Like, there was a bunch of code that came out. There was no mention of Touch ID, which led to people assuming that there isn't going to be Touch ID, but I still don't know if that's going to be the case.
I mean, I don't really support the move to facial recognition. I'm like not very into it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. If that was the only means for biometric security, I'd be a little annoyed with it. Could you imagine,
Yeah.
like, going up to the cash register and, like, doing your Apple Pay and then, like, positioning your face in front of your
that
phone?
and you know they're like not really all that secure.
Right.
And they're like kind of known to like glitch out a few times. Like,
Although-
this doesn't apply to Apple, but I know that with like one of
Samsung?
Qualcomm's
Oh, Qualcomm.
biometric security, you know, they have trouble sometimes if you're wearing glasses or if you like
Oh,
just woke
yeah.
up. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
like the first thing I do when I wake up. Is like I grab my phone because the light helps me wake up.
Uh.
And if like I just woke up and I look like crap and it's like, you know, I don't have my makeup on.
Right.
And it doesn't recognize or register that, then like that's gone.
By the way, Alfred goes through about an hour of makeup
Yeah.
before the show, even though
I
this is
have
like a
to look
20-minute
beautiful.
program. That's true.
Alfred
He
wakes
does.
up every morning to meme a clock. Michael Brown, our old friend Michael Brown.
Hey, Michael Brown.
Throwing some shade at Android O. New emoji update is the most exciting thing about Android O to me, and I think that's a little sad.
to be fair,
Uh,
that new emoji update is super exciting. They're getting rid of their little blobs. All right. Yeah, they're little
all
like
right.
weird like. Have you seen the Android emoji? Yeah.
Yeah,
like, it's super embarrassing when you're Snapchatting on an Android like phone and they can tell that it's an Android phone because you can only put those emojis in.
Yep.
And it's like, what is this little mutant like emoji that you've got going on here?
Wow.
Imagine if the Emoji Movie, which is already terrible, was done with like Google's blobs instead.
Didn't that do pretty well, though? I feel like it did decently.
Okay, well,
I mean, I didn't watch it. I have
like
no interest in watching it.
money-wise, yes, but critically,
Oh, yeah. Well, look, a movie like the Emoji Movie was never going to do well critically, though. So let's just...
but it could have. There's so many storylines.
It was the next Citizen Kane.
yeah.
Jiffer is the champion of the chat today. Is this update double stuffed? Because if not, I'm out of here.
Nice.
I'll
And
take
I
it.
think I do
no.
think it's single stuffed.
Yeah.
As much as Android and Google will want to tell you that there's so much packed in it.
I mean, it's the same stuff. I mean, not the same, but it's like the
I think-
same kind of updates. They're all
Yeah.
very incremental, right?
Yeah.
I think visually you're not going to see anything like insane. I think
Copy
this-
and paste.
Yeah, this
Woo-hoo.
update was more about like changing like the little things. So like if it notices that you're like copying an address, like it'll allow you to go to Maps directly from that, as opposed to like copying the address and then going to the Maps app and then pasting it.
Which
in
is
there.
like nice to have, but not doesn't blow your mind.
Yeah,
or
that's the
anything.
thing. It's a lot of like small updates. It's not like this whole like massive overhaul kind of thing. But I do think that these small updates are like pretty convenient.
Yeah, definitely.
From Michael Brown and Danny Green combined. Danny Green says, what are the biggest new things with Oreo? And then Michael Brown says, question for Alfred, do you have an Android phone? And what are you most excited about in Android Oreo? On that, I think both of you should give your top 3 takeaways from Android Oreo and what people should look forward to, or at least what you are going to look forward to.
I think battery life, speed, sort of the more general experience stuff, and then the little things that Alfred mentioned, that like these little cut and paste, the fact that it knows that you're copying an address. I think I'm looking forward to that, just in general, because I mean I feel like, especially on the battery side of things, that's always been a big hang up for me.
That's any mobile phone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have an Android device, actually. It's the Galaxy S7, and I can't upgrade from it for another 2 years.
Sorry, sucker.
But I'm mostly excited about the security additions that they have for it. So this has like been severely underplayed because it's just not that interesting. But it's this thing that they have called Google Play Protect now, where there's a lot of apps in the App Store, like you and I wouldn't download them just because they look really sketchy, but a lot of people do download them. Where it's like Subway Surfers like version 2, even though that game doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like they think it's something and it's like some bootleg version of it, and then they have malware
It's
on
actually
their phone.
yeah.
So Play Protect, and this is something that they're putting out with Oreo that's going to be implemented across like just like the Play Store in general. So even if you have an older version, you're like likely to be protected. And it basically like it tells you when like this app's been blacklisted from like all these other antivirus companies and things like that. And I think that's super important for Android only because like it's so fragmented and has so many security issues with that.
Well, it's too bad they can't implement that pre-store submission, though, if there was a better vetting process. But at least this is a step in the right direction following major malware upsets last year.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm also really interested into seeing how they're implementing like AI and all their like machine learning things into with Google Assistant and 2 with the Android Oreo update on this. That's like part of the big thing that they're doing. If you notice a lot of the Oreo stuff that they had, it's like the Android Oreo, but he also has a cape. He's supposed to be like a superhero thing now, and they keep calling like with super sweet updates, whatever.
Wow.
But you know they're. But part of that, it's like part of like the superpowers is like AI and how it's like able to like predict a lot of things based off like the assistant on your phone. I know a lot of privacy advocates that would just burn their phone after seeing something like that. But I think it's interesting what they're like planning on doing with that.
I mean, if it adds convenience, people will do it, right? They'll use it.
Yeah.
We only got a couple minutes left. Dale Kurt Murray asks, how long do you think it will take for Android devices to get Android Oreo this time around? We're going to have to speculate on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always tough.
Wild speculation.
Their timetable is really bad because they're saying like before the end of the year, and that's 4 whole months that you're not going to get this.
And I
update.
feel like that might even be ambitious for some.
Yeah, it really
some
is.
phones. I think in fact, a lot of budget phones, forget about it. You're not getting any updates.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part of it. That they have this like massive reveal to all these new features.
Oh yeah, but guess what? Yeah, if you have, if you bought a $300 or $200 Android phone,
honestly,
you're probably not getting it.
Honestly, I'm skeptical if my S7's even gonna get it.
Why? Because it's too old?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It's not that old.
Yeah,
it's only like a year. It's
but
a little
that's
bit more
the
than a year
thing that
old.
like even if it's like more than a year old, sometimes you don't get the update. I have a Nexus 5 at home, and I still feel like that phone will get the update before this one will.
Woof.
Well, that's probably true. No,
Yeah.
that's definitely true. I think you'll get it. You'll just get it like months and months and months late. Because again, it's gonna. You've got Verizon, right?
This
AT&T?
one is Verizon.
Yeah. So basically, Samsung's got to work it through its own system. Then they've got to go to Verizon for an approval. Verizon gives it the okay, and finally, like eventually, shows up. But that can take just several months, way past their projected timeline.
Yeah, I really do wish there were some Android update that lets you like delete like bloatware that's like defaulted on your phones. That would be the most incredible Android update for me.
They could
Never.
They could.
They could never, yeah, because no carrier would approve it.
Right.
But that would be so great. That would be
Like,
incredible.
delete your Verizon, whatever messages
Go
plus
90.
thing. Oh, Go 90 you can delete, right?
I didn't know that.
I think you can delete. Go
I was
90.
trying to, and then like I
And
don't
it
know.
said no.
Not the hero Android needs right now, but the one it deserves.
There you go.
Hey, we all had fun with the eclipse yesterday, right?
I did not.
You didn't.
I was walking around downtown Toronto trying to keep my head down and not stare at the sun.
That was a smart decision.
That was basically
You
it.
didn't have glasses.
I didn't have the glasses.
I went out and shot a little bit on my smartphone, just
Yeah?
for kicks and giggles.
Did you use a filter for the phone?
No, I just
Apparently you don't
adjusted
need
the
it for your
ISO
phone.
and the aperture.
I was told for higher end phones you're fine, but I think for a lower one and lower
Like
end
if your
phones,
phone has a mirror in it or something.
I don't know. There's like,
I mean,
there's
it's not a guarantee thing, but
there's a
there's
chance the sensors get damaged.
It's
Yeah.
if you angle it right, like any piece of glass, the mirror could amplify the sun and damage the internals. But
Yeah.
it's not like it's a guaranteed thing. A lot of
Right.
people got fantastic shots. I saw a lot all over Reddit
Did you
last
build
night.
your own filters?
No, I never did that.
I saw Mike Sorrentino building his own pin box yesterday.
He did a pin. Saw a lot of pin boxes
Oh,
out
yeah,
on the
yeah,
street
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Actually, when the whole office kind of liquidated to go out and check it out.
Yeah, for
and the
sure.
clouds opened up just enough
Yeah.
to get some
I
enjoyment.
enjoyed seeing it. It reminded me of how small we all are in this
Vast
you know,
universe. Yes.
You know, and that there's things more important than me.
Well, yeah. I'll tell me. I can remind you of that every day if you want.
All right. So before we wrap it up, we should plug tomorrow's live stream.
Yes. Starting 11 a.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. We will do a live stream. Jessica Dulcourt and I will be at the event along with a fairly large contingent at CNET, but we will be live tweeting the details. There's a video you can follow along, but if you can't watch video wherever you are, we do have our page set up with tweets embedded. We'll be tweeting all the details. I'll be trying to keep up with with all the details from the phone as they get announced. But yeah, check us out tomorrow at CNET.
And as always, all across the social networks, and we'll be doing a post show here on the podcast tomorrow. So
we?
we'll
Oh, yeah,
be
we are.
broadcasting later than
Yes.
usual. We'll, somewhere around 3
3-ish.
p.m.
Yep.
Eastern Standard Time
Yep.
for the 3:59
The return
tomorrow.
of CNET After Hours, baby.
Ooh.
Oh no, it's gonna get weird.
Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Roger, you want to take us home?
Yeah, if you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Feedburner, and Google Play Music. See you all tomorrow afternoon.
See ya.